Good morning, everybody. Thomas Fleming here on an early morning sit by the river. I love this spot. Now, the crows can be out here anytime. You hear them all day long, but they're not really active yet this morning. Well, I should title this The Walk, because I walked down here and I forgot my Bible. There you go, people. Set your alarm off in a camp before everybody wakes up. I have a few people check in. Is school out already in some areas? I don't know. We're in the week. During the week there shouldn't be any kids here, and there are, so I don't know. I don't keep track of that stuff. Half the time I don't know what day it is because I don't have a schedule. All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the battle for truth that's going on right now. You want to know why we're having a battle for truth? Because the father of lies is running things. So we expect him to be lying. We turn on the media, we turn on the local news. It doesn't matter which channel anymore. They're all lies, some more than others. Some could care less what's going on in the news. They don't report about anything going on in the world anymore. All they do is start their narrative on how everything is so beautiful. It's so great. We've never had an economy doing better. Everybody's working. Everybody's happy. Father of lies. All right. Now, we know what's going on, but most of the people of the world, unfortunately, have rejected Christ, and therefore they're just going to be fed this diet of lies. Well, we're going to be reading out of the book of John here in a little bit. The one that knew Jesus the best. He's the one with his head on his chest in the Last Supper. We have a gospel, some letters, and where we spend a lot of our time now, the book of Revelation. And John, I think, is the only one that survives. God protected him in spite of all the things that were going around, because he had work to do. And he wrote the book of Revelation in isolation in a prison on Patmos, an island off the coast of Asia, I guess. Turkey now. It's where the 7 churches are, out on that peninsula. And Patmos is an island off the coast of there. It's actually not a bad area to go tour. I don't really like Israel per se. Well, the country as a whole I don't mind looking at, but Jerusalem, they've built a church on everything. Nothing is as it was, and we're not even sure if it's the proper site or not. They say it is, but who knows? We don't have any way of finding out now because they've destroyed the scene. If you've got a crime scene, the last thing you want to do is to have a large group of people run in and run all over the place. Cover up footprints, you destroy evidence. There's nobody going to be punished. No one's going to jail. There's nothing left. So when it comes to Israel, what's the truth? We don't know. So that's our theme, the battle for truth. And we're going to turn in John. We're going to start with, I didn't even mark these verses because I'm in one book the entire time. And we're going to go to John 1:14. But before we get there, we're going to see what the definition is. We're going to go to John 1:1, just for a quick definition. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. The Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Okay. So now we're going to turn to 1:14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten Father, full of grace and truth. See, that's why truth is hard to find today. Jesus is the Word, he is the truth, and Satan's regime doesn't want it. John bore witness to him and cried out, saying, "This is he of whom I said, he who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And in his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given to Moses, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ." So the theme of this is truth, and it all comes from Jesus. Okay, did I do 1:17 yet? Did I do that? Yeah, I did. So let's turn to John 4:24. This is red letters, so let's actually go back to 23, I think, on the other page. The hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Now this is Jesus speaking, and this is back then, obviously, but it applies today. God doesn't change. For the Father is seeking such to worship him. God is spirit. Those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The world is rejecting truth because truth is Jesus and God. They're the same. So we have to do our best to guard what we hear, what we read, knowing that Satan is running things pretty much now. He can't do everything yet. We're not there yet. But basically, everything is being set up for the Antichrist. Anti, meaning in place of, in this case. He will be the lie, the great lie. So in spirit and in truth. Now we're going to turn to 8, chapter 8. A lot of truth in this, in John. And Jesus said to those Jews who believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free." And that was Jesus speaking. I'm going to jump back to the religious people here. And they answered him, "We are Abraham's descendants and have never been in bondage to anyone." They're under Roman occupation. They don't have the truth in them. How can you say you will truly be made free? And Jesus answered them, "Most assuredly I say to you, whoever commits sin is a slave of sin. And a slave does not abide in the house forever, but a son abides forever. Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. The truth will make you free. But they were living a lie. They still didn't get it. He tried repeatedly to tell them the truth. And they couldn't catch him on it. They could not come out and say that's a lie. No, they'd say things like he's blasphemy, because that's a big bad word that they could use. But the bottom line is that Jesus was pointing out their error, and they didn't like it. That's why he was crucified. He wasn't crucified for healing and helping people. He was attacking their little domain that they had, the little niche that they'd created for themselves. Let's go ahead now, and I'm just going to keep reading verses here from John because they're all the same thing. John 16, talking about truth. Now I'm actually going to stop off here, and that's 14. I don't have that on my list, but that's okay. Let not your heart be troubled, chapter 14, verse 1. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. You're familiar with this. And I go to prepare a place for you. I will come again and receive you to myself, and where I am, there you may be also. And where I go, you know the way. And down in 6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except for me. He is the truth. That's why the world is rejecting the truth. Okay, so let's now go to 16:13. Again, Jesus speaking. And back in 12, I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. However, when He, the Spirit of truth, the Spirit that we have living in us, has come, He will guide you into all truth, and He will not speak on His own authority, but whatever He hears, He will speak, and He will tell you things to come. He will glorify me, and He will take what is mine and declare it to you, and all things that the Father has are mine. So Jesus is making everything available that God has through the Spirit for us. That's amazing. And John just keeps speaking the truth. Turn over to 17. Let's go back to 15. Do not pray that you should take, let's see, what are we doing? I want to get the thought on this. I got people coming in. Let me pause for. Okay, I'm back. I had to move when they were going to set up behind me. I could see I'd have to move. I can't put people in my videos unless I get their written permission. Okay, John 17. I'm going to go back to 12. This is kind of Jesus praying for His disciples and talking to God. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in your name. Those whom you gave me I kept, and none of them were lost except for the son of perdition, Judas, that the scripture might be fulfilled. But now I have come to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they may have my joy fulfilled in themselves. That's Jesus' desire for us, that we have joy. I have given them your word, and the world has hated me because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. We're not going to be liked by the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. That's our daily prayer. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them by your truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I also have sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also may be sanctified by truth. There's so much truth in this chapter, in this book. Okay. Now we're going to turn over to, that's 18. Now, we're going to get to 38, but let me start at 36. Jesus is talking to Pilate. It's almost his time. And Jesus says, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight. That's why I tell you, don't fight. Don't get drawn into a physical battle. This is a spiritual war. So that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from here. And Pilate said, are you a king then? Jesus answered, you say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born, and for this cause I have come into the world, that you should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice. And that's where I'm going to wrap up. The truth will set you free. He is the truth. He is the Word. And in this world, he is not wanted, because the truth exposes the lies. And the liars don't want their lies exposed. They want people to believe them. They follow the old adage that if you tell a lie long enough, people will believe it. And they're practicing that. You can't stop it. You can't fight it. Under normal conditions, we could pray it away. But we're in the last days now, so we're seeing the final setup before the tribulation. The Antichrist is about to come on the scene. We have a rapture very, very soon. And because of that, we can't stop it. Not because God doesn't have the power to. This is the way it's supposed to be. This transition, that when we leave, we go back to the 70th day to complete it. We've had 2,000 years of Gentile freedom. It's time for us to get off the scene and turn it back to the Jews and their temple and let them answer to God. So the battle is on, the battle for truth. And when we're gone, there's not going to be an established truth. They will have a one world government. The harlot's setting it up. It's almost set up now. They will have a one world currency. And they will have a one world church. And they will have the Antichrist and the false prophet to lead them. And that won't make them happy. It won't solve their problems. Ask any rich person. Has money solved your problems? It doesn't. Has fame solved people's problems? It doesn't. Has power solved people's problems? No. It might for a little while. It's like a drug. You take the drug, and for a little while, you feel great. and then it's gone. And you feel worse than when you started. And that drug can be anything from alcohol to cocaine to whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't last. It's temporary. And then you feel worse afterwards. Ask anyone who's had a hangover. Jesus doesn't do that. The battle for truth. Keep defending it. Keep speaking it. And the truth will set us free. Till we meet in the clouds, God bless. We are going to set up a tarp that we can hang over Thomas's tent. Use the cordage to tie the large rope at the grommet in the center. Now we're going to use some of the duct tape to secure the rope to the end. It's not necessary, but it kind of helps to make it last a little longer. Over the top. Okay. Okay, so did you hit the button? Mm-hmm. Okay. So feed it through. Have enough to work with. Twist it over the top. Remember the little rhyme, it goes through the hole, behind the tree, back around, and through the hole again. And then you can tighten that up. And you can see I have a loop on here that won't cinch up. You don't want it to cinch up and tighten up on here. And then we take our line, and if I can get this to work, you burn the end so that it won't unravel. And that's it. I have 25 feet on here, and we can tie this off. We'll look at it in a bit.